Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod Science Classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 25th May 2021. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 7 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC. So let's get started with our discussion and let us see first topic. Title says migrant workers may just want to go home, says Supreme Court. So this article mainly talking about this migrant workers. So this article is very important regarding polity point of view, which comes under GS paper 2. Now let us try to discuss this topic in a very great detail. So first let us see context why it is in news. So here, scared, unemployed and hungry migrant workers, they want to go home and will hardly care for final menaces of national and mini lockdowns imposed by government. So this is the thing which mainly said by Supreme Court. So what is the meaning of this? Supreme Court mainly said that it is either national-wide lockdown or mini lockdown. Here migrant peoples who are mainly scared, they are unemployed and they are very much hungry, they want to go home. So here if you see some details here, it mainly says that whether it was a nationwide lockdown in 2020 or mini lockdowns in 2021, attitude of migrant workers remains same. They want to go home. So here Supreme Court was hearing a suo motu case to provide this migrant labor families, that is dry rations, cooked food and as well as public transport here. And here Supreme Court said that they would think that it would be safe for clinches of virus. So here migrant people, they mainly want to go to home because they want to be safe from this virus and they are not getting any jobs or they are unemployed people and they are also don't having any income here, source of income. So because of this, whenever they are going to their homes, at least they will do some agricultural activities such that they will get some income here. Okay, so if you see here, Supreme Court said that it is responsibility of states to provide cooked food for standard migrant workers and these unorganized laborers who wandering from one place to another place, they might not having these ration cards. So whenever these people who are not having these ration cards, then they are not covered under this National Food Security Act and they will be denied with this subsidized food grains. But this all unorganized laborers, they need to get this PDS or this subsidized food grains. Okay, so this is just of this topic. And now let us say next article. Title says new land regulations spark protest in Lakshadweep. So this article mainly focusing on new land regulations. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this will be important regarding GS paper 2 under polity and as well as you need to see map also regarding this Lakshadweep, that will be important from prelims point of view. So now let us see this article in a very great detail. This article mainly talking about new land regulations, right? So context here is this content is skimmering in the verdant environs of Lakshadweep group of islands. So what happened recently, administration of Lakshadweep came up with some new land regulations. So because of this, there is this content that is seen in this Lakshadweep island. So over slew of regulations which are introduced by new administrator. So there is discontent, right? So if you see why there is discontent, because archipelago lost its treasured status of being a COVID-free region. So because of relaxation of some rules and regulations here, that led to increase or we can see surge in number of cases of this COVID-19 that is seen in Lakshadweep also. So if you see here some details, COVID-19 affected Lakshadweep after stipulation for mandatory quarantine of Dweep bounded travelers in Kochi. So here want to travel this Lakshadweep. So whenever they are coming from this Kochi, they need to go for quarantine. But these rules are mainly stipulated, that is removed. So because of this, now there are about 6,847 cases of COVID-19 in Lakshadweep mainly founded. And there are about 10 inhabited islands of Union Territory. So under lockdown for 2 months. So because of this stipulation of this mandatory quarantine here. So that led to imposition of lockdown more than 2 months in this Lakshadweep island. And Union Territory administration also accused of exploiting the restrictions, okay, which mainly present on locals from gathering. And next one is creation of Lakshadweep Development Authority with extensive power. So it also gave the power regarding eviction of landowners also. So now let us talk about what is this draft Lakshadweep Development Authority Regulation 2021. So first important thing you need to remember here is it mainly gives administrator powers to remove and also to relocate islanders from their property for town planning or any development activity. So first one is it is mainly giving authority for this giving power to this authority regarding town planning and as well as developmental activity. So in case of town planning and as well as any developmental activity, so if they want to relocate or remove islanders, so it is a power which is vested with this Lakshadweep Development Authority. And next one is they also came with the PASA, that means Prevention of Anti-Social Activities Act. So it mainly introduced in January 2021, and according to this it mainly says that person can be detained without any public disclosure for a period up to 1 year. And next one is they also came up with a draft panchayat notification. Okay, it mainly says that whoever who want to become member of this panchayat or to elected to this panchayat, they should not contain more than 2 children. So whenever they are having more than 2 children, they can be disqualified from being a member. And next one is because of all these things, there is public discontent against administrators spilled on social media now. So this is just of this topic. And now let us say next article. Title says record food grain exports amid hunger, says group. So this article mainly talking about there is a record food grain exports. Even though because of this COVID-19 pandemic, there are a number of people who are facing hunger. But though we are facing hunger, so there is record amount of food grain mainly exported. Okay. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 2 under governance. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that according to Right to Food campaign, they says that the record export of food grains at a time of widespread hunger and as well as distress which mainly caused because of this COVID-19 pandemic, which mainly exposes this government apathy towards the people. So here this article mainly says that according to Right to Food campaign, so there is record amount of exports of food grains that happen. So even though we are facing wide spread of hunger and as well as distress, even though we are facing hunger and distress, there is record export of food grains that is seen. So in this way we can say that, so here government mainly showing apathy towards the people regarding how to solve the hunger. So even though there is hunger and distress which is widely available or widely present in India, so we went for export of a good amount of food grains. So this group mainly says that we need universalization of PDS at least for 6 months, mainly to fight against this pandemic. And if you see some details which are given in this article, it mainly says that there is surge of COVID-19. Okay, there is spread to rural areas. Now we are seeing number of cases or more in rural areas than compared to urban areas now. And this because of surge in number of cases, we are going for mini lockdowns or lockdowns in separate areas, etc. And many lockdowns in many parts of country, they went for lockdown. So because of this, that led to severe economic distress. Here people, they lost their life, their employment, and as well as there is decrease in salary and there is no proper livelihood and as well as income support for this people, right? So because of this, in this situation now in 2021, it is most worse than compared to 2020 here. So in 2021, large number of households, they are mainly fighting against this illness, and there is job losses, and as well as there is declining in salary in case of they are having jobs, and high health expenses and as well as wages are decreased here. So these are some important problems which are facing by informal workers, especially in this year, and it is a most worse than we are comparing with this 2020 here. So if you see in this context, we can talk about central relief scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. So under this, it will mainly provide additional food grains for 2 months that will be given only for people who are holding ration cards. So cause of concern here is there are many informal workers. So there are more than 90% of informal workers are present in our in country. So these people, they are moving from one place to another place. They may not have these ration cards. Okay, so because of this informal people, they are mainly out of this scheme, central relief scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. And if you are talking about data here, data regarding food grains export, there is record export of food grains that is seen. More than 13 million tons of non-basmati rice and more than 2 million tons of wheat that mainly exported in financial year 2020 to 21 here. Okay, so this campaign mainly says that instead of exporting that, try to give this food grains to people who are in need, especially to these informal workers. So the campaign mainly said that with this food grains which is exported, so we can provide 5 kgs of grain per month for 25 crore people per year in India. And one more concern here is rice exported at rupees 27 per kg, which is far more less than Food Corporation of India economic cost. Okay, economic cost for this Food Corporation of India is rupees 37, but it is exporting at a rate which is very much less. That is less than that is to rupees 27 per kg. It is 10 rupees less than cost of this Food Corporation of India. Okay, so this is gist of this topic. And now let us see next article. Title says Iran inspection agreement extended by 1 month. So it is a statement which is given by IAEA. So this article will be very much important regarding prelims point of view, which comes under GS paper 2 under international relations. So here you need to focus on what is this IAEA and what is this Iran's nuclear deal. So regarding this Iran's nuclear deal, we had a detailed discussion number of times in our Hindu analysis. So please do revision, and this is your homework. And let me know some important provisions of this Iran's nuclear deal in comment box. Don't forget about this. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. First, let us see context. Here, United Nations nuclear watchdog, that is IAEA, and Iran, they agreed to extend understanding to monitor Tehran activities by 1 month. So here recently in February, here IAEA and Iran came up with agreement for 3 months mainly to monitor Tehran's activities, and now they are going to extend this 3 months agreement for 1 more month. So this is context. And now let us see some important details here. So if you see details, it mainly says that equipment and verification and the monitoring activities, they will continue, and they are now for 1 month expiring on June 24th, 2021. So here on June 24, 2021, this agreement of 3 months will be expired. So they came up with understanding like they will go for extending of this agreement for 1 more month. So if you're talking about background here, Iran in late February limited this IAEA's access to nuclear sites. So this IAEA has been monitoring this Iran's nuclear activities, and it is as a part of 2015 Iran nuclear deal. But if you see here, they came with agreement for a duration of 3 months, and it allowed inspection to continue from February onwards. So if you are talking about some facts regarding this IAEA, it mainly stands for International Atomic Energy Agency, and it is mainly known as world's atoms for peace and development. So you have to remember, and whenever you are writing means answer, you have to give like, so this IAEA, that is International Atomic Energy Agency, which is known as world's atoms for peace and development, and it is organization within United Nations. So if you're talking about establishment, it was established in year 1957, and which is mainly responsible to the deep fears and also expectations which are generated by discoveries and as well as diverse uses of nuclear technology. And if you're talking about objective here, so it mainly says that it will be helpful to work with its member states and multiple partners worldwide. So this will be helpful mainly to promote safe, secure, peaceful use of nuclear technology. And in 2005 it was awarded Nobel Peace Prize for his work. And next one is functions. So if you're talking about functions, so first and foremost one here is it is independent international organization, and this organization which is mainly reports annually to United Nations General Assembly, and this IAEA also reports to United Nations Security Council in regards to instances of members who are non-compliant with safeguards and as well as security obligations. So regarding this, it mainly gives report annually to United Nations General Assembly and as well as United Nations Security Council. So this is just of this topic. I hope it is clear. And now let us see next article. Title says FDI flows crossed $81 billion in financial year 21. So this article mainly talking about FDI, that is foreign direct investment. So this topic will be extremely important regarding economy, and this topic will be important from both the prelims and also mains. So I want to give you a small homework. So what is difference between FDI and AFPI? So please let me know in comment box. And now let us see context first. So if you see context, mainly says that FDI flows into India grew 10% in 2020 to 2021. So here we had increased, or we can say FDI, foreign direct investment, mainly that increased in India, and it grew to 10% in financial year 2020 to 21, and it touched a record of $81.72 billions. And if you see some details, it mainly says that Singapore emerged as a top investor in India, and after that US with 20% of FDI, and later it is Mauritius with 9% of FDI. And if you're talking about state-wise, Gujarat topped the list and FDI destination of about 37% in financial year 2021, and next place occupied by Maharashtra with 27%, and third place by Karnataka with 13%. And if you're talking about different fields like computer, software and hardware, which mainly contributed to 44% of FDI, and construction sector attracted 13% of FDI, and service sector attracted 8% of FDI. So these are some important details which are given in this article. And now let us see some important facts regarding this FDI. FDI mainly stands for foreign direct investment, and this FDI, it is a process whereby residents of one country acquire ownership of assets for purpose regarding controlling of production and distribution and as well as other activities of a firm in another country. So what is the meaning of this FDI? So if I am in country 1 and I want to invest in country 2, okay, so I can invest in country 2. Mainly I will be getting some ownership of assets in country 2. So why I am investing in country 2? Because to control production in country 2 and as well as for distribution, and as well as we can do some other activities, okay, in country 2. So this is about FDI. So if you're talking about flows of FDI, it mainly comprise capital which is provided directly or by through any other related enterprises we can invest in country 2. And if you're talking about components, it mainly contains 3 important components. First one is equity capital, second one is reinvested earnings, third one is intra-company loans. So if you're talking about equity capitals, then I am mainly investing in shares of an enterprise, or if there is any company, I am investing mainly in that company and they will be giving some share. And next one is reinvested earnings, means so whenever I am invested in any one company, I am getting profits, but that profits will not be shared among dividends, but this profit that will be again invested in company. So that is called as reinvested earnings. And next one is intra-company loans. So whenever I am providing any short-term or long-term loans for this company, so that will call as intra-company loans, okay. So I am in country 1 but I am giving loans or short-term loans or long-term loans or borrowing and lending of funds in any company, that will comes under this intra-company loans here, okay. So these are 3 important components of this FDI. And now let us talk about routes. So how many routes is FDI that can enter India? So that can enter mainly in two routes, that is automatic route, second one is government route. Automatic routes means there is no need of taking permission or prior approval of government or RBI in India. But if you're talking about government route, we need to compulsorily take approval from government. Okay, so these are about routes of FDI. Okay, so this is just of this topic. And now let us see next topic. Title says expanding the scope of POCSO. Okay, POSCO. Okay, you can say this is POCSO or POCSO. So here this topic will be very much important regarding polity, which comes under GS paper 2, and this topic will be exclusively important regarding mains. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this article mainly talking about scope of POCSO. So if you see context here, in India we have this POCSO. So POCSO mainly stands for Protection of Children from Offences of Sexual Assault, Sexual Harassment and Pornography. So if at all we are anything going regarding if any sexual harassment or sexual assault or pornography that is happening on children, so we are having one law to protect that is POCSO. So if you see through this POCSO, it is we are having some controversy or we are having some deficiency in this POCSO. So recently here Supreme Court said that, okay, recently here Bombay High Court said that, so under section 7 of this POCSO, so whenever there is a direct skin to skin contact, it is very much necessary to give punishment under this POCSO. So because of this, Supreme Court had to inject or give to orders regarding what is interpretation of this skin to skin contact, which is given by this Bombay High Court. And second important deficiency here is this POCSO, which has unable to deal with historical cases. So now let us see first background of this POCSO. So this act was enacted with a specific intention of protecting children mainly from sexual assault and as well as sexual harassment. So mainly to protect children from sexual assault, sexual harassment. So we had this act here. Okay, so this act mainly took into consideration by standards which are prescribed by Convention on Rights of Children, and we adopted, okay, and this is also adopted by United Nations General Assembly here. So here we came up with this POCSO Act mainly as per guidelines or as per standards which are prescribed under this Convention of Rights of Child, and this Convention of Rights of Child adopted by General Assembly of United Nations. And here if you say regarding this Convention of Rights of this Child, Indian government acceded mainly on December 11, 1992. So because of this we came up with this POCSO Act. So if you are talking about some important features, so under this act children are who are less than 18 years of age, and there is different forms of sexual abuse which are included in this act. They include sexual harassment, pornography and penetrative and non-penetrative assault, and even sexual assault which is deemed to be aggravated when this sexual assault mainly done on mentally ill child, or even this sexual assault done by doctors, teachers, politicians, and as well as policemen and family members. Okay, so these are most trusted people in our society, right? That is doctors, teachers, policemen and family members. So whenever this assault which is done by this, then it is called as aggravated. And some more features include adequate provisions are present to avoid re-victimization of child at the hands of judicial system, and this act also provides an establishment of special courts for trial of such offences, and also this act also provides some steps that need to be taken by investigation officer during this process, and that steps that need to be child friendly. And next one is this act also calls for mandatory reporting of sexual offences, and if there is any false complaint which is filed with an intent to defame any person, then that will be punishable under this act. So these are some important features of this POCSO. So if you are talking about some concerns, so first one is it mainly talks about this historical child sexual abuse, which is mainly not included in this. It is not going to deal with this historical child sexual abuse. So what is meaning of this historical child sexual abuse here? It means incidents that are reported late. Okay, so for example, incident happened now, but this incident will be reported after 10 years or 15 years. So this mainly comes under this historical child sexual abuse. And this historical child sexual abuse, which not confined to institute, but also it includes intrafamilial abuse here. So whenever there is intrafamilial abuse that is going to be happen, so in that case it is very much difficult to child to report offense or offender at earliest point in time. So these cases mainly comes under this historical child sexual abuse. And next one is there are many sections under CRPC and as well as IPC. So for example, this CRPC also prohibits judicial magistrate from taking cases which are beyond a specific period of time. And even in IPC, that is section 354 of IPC, it also barred cases which are more than 3 years of time here. Okay, so because of this here, this POCSO Act which do not handling with this historical cases. So if you're talking about factors why we are going for not reporting of cases immediately, so there might be some threats from perpetrator, and there is a fear of public humiliation, and there is absence of trustworthy confidence, and there is also some accommodation syndrome. That means child keeps abuse very much secret because their parents or any people, they will not believe about this abuse. Okay, so because of this accommodation syndrome also, here children, they will not come outside to mainly file case or to disclose this abuse. So in this context, author mainly says that there is urgent need to reform and we need to raise our laws. We need to include this historical cases under this POCSO. So this is just of this topic. I hope it is clear. And now let us see next article. So before seeing this article, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. So if you want to clear UPSC 2022, we came up with one excellent, highly beneficial and also highly economical course, that is current affairs package along with mains answer writing practice. So how this course will be useful to clear UPSC 2022? So first important thing you need to remember here is, before entering into examination hall, you need to know at least 1.5 years current affairs for sure. And why we need to focus on this current affairs? So if you see either prelims or mains or even interview, so questions mainly from current affairs. So mastering of current affairs, it is very important to clear this UPSC. And if you are talking about this mains answer writing practice, many students who are freshers, especially who are beginners, they ignore this mains answer writing practice. Even though with their hard work they clear prelims, they cannot clear mains without proper answer writing skills. And in this course, we are mainly focusing on how to improve your answer writing skills. And if you join this course, we also conduct prelims test on every Sunday at 10 o'clock. We also provide video solutions or video explanation part. In this way, this course which is mainly designed as per demand of UPSC. So one thing you need to remember here is, you need to master current affairs. So finally, I want to say one thing. Please don't take this course as a choice. Try to join this course as soon as possible and achieve your dream of clearing UPSC. So for further details of this course, link which is given in description box, so please visit that once. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can call to this number 8074765513. Okay, and now let's come back and let us see next article. Title says a September exit, Afghanistan at the crossroads. So this article mainly talking about US withdrawal from Afghanistan. So if you're talking about Afghanistan, there are a number of stakeholders are involved. First one is US, second one is Pakistan, there is Afghanistan government, there will be Taliban, and also we are having India, Russia, Iran and also China mainly included in this Afghanistan. So whenever we want to bring peace in this Pakistan, so we need all these countries stakeholders. For example, this peace in Afghanistan mainly depends upon the stakeholders after the exit of US. So US going to withdraw from Afghanistan by September 11th completely. Okay. So here if you want to see background here, US mainly interested in this Afghanistan because September 11 attacks that happened in that happened in US, and main reason behind that is Taliban here. So because of this, US army entered Afghanistan and finally they assassinated bin Laden. Okay, so from then onwards there is increasing violence that is seen. So mainly to control that violence in Afghanistan, US increased its forces, or US came up with its troop. They are installed in Afghanistan here. So now recently Taliban came up with Afghan peace process and peace deal with US and Taliban. So in that peace deal they accepted that US will withdraw its troops from this Afghanistan, and in return Taliban mainly wants to release prisoners. Yes, that prisoners were released, and also Taliban mainly demanding that so government which should be formed in Afghanistan. In that government, Taliban should be part, and there is a need for making some changes in constitutions of Afghanistan. So these are some important demands and background of this topic. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this topic will be very important regarding GS paper 2 under international relations. So now let us see this topic in a very great detail. So this article mainly talking about US withdrawal from Afghanistan. So if you see context here, US withdrawal from Afghanistan completely by September 11th. So this even US want to withdraw from Afghanistan even without any power sharing deal between Afghanistan government and as well as Taliban. So here because of this, now recently we are seeing there is level of increasing in violence in Afghanistan. So here prospects of negotiating peace in Afghanistan mainly affected. So since announcement of the date of exit of this US from Afghanistan, so Afghanistan mainly continues to witness some deadly attacks across its provinces. For example, recent attack that mainly saw in multiple blasts outside girls' school in Kabul. So if you see here, we need to talk about Pakistan emergence and Pakistan role in Afghanistan. So Pakistan, it is one of most player in Afghanistan conflict. After months of negotiation, that is US-Taliban deal which signed in February 2020. So Pakistan took full credit for this agreement or for this deal. So if you're talking here, US military presence in Afghanistan that is seen from last 2 decades onwards. So because of this, it mainly kept Washington reliant on this Rawalpindi, that is Pakistan, regarding cooperation and support. Okay, so in this context, Pakistan not only treated US as its geopolitical palm, but also it smartly mobilizes US to factor against India. So recently here, Pakistan Foreign Minister called to US Secretary of State, and Pakistan Foreign Minister, he expressed his desire to close cooperation with US regarding economy and enhanced regional connectivity and a common vision for peaceful South Asia. So in this context, Pakistan cannot keep America invested in this country regarding military or economy or societal goods here, but it will also want to partner with this US to ensure a smooth transition in power with Kabul. Okay, mainly US want Pakistan here, and also Pakistan want US. So US want Pakistan mainly to ensure some smooth transition of power in Kabul, and Pakistan want US to increase its investments in country here. So US want to invest, or Pakistan want US to be invested in military, economy and as well as social fronts in Pakistan here. But there is one cause of concern here is, so recent report mainly says that Pakistan accused in running an organized system of support for Afghan Taliban. So for Talibans who are in Afghanistan, here Pakistan which is mainly supporting those Taliban. So this is according to Afghan government. So in this context, if you're talking about this Biden's plans here, so Biden plan, it is to make Mr. Ghani agreed to dissolve his government and to set up new governing system, and this new governing system include Taliban. And finally, they need to decide further distribution of power and as well as what are the changes that to be made to Afghanistan constitution. But for this, Mr. Ghani mainly refused to step down for any interim regime. So if you see Taliban here, Taliban now withdraw support from a wide variety of regional powers. So now there is increased sharing of power or support to this Taliban from Russia, China and as well as even Iran here. So because of this, it remained invested in all major regional Afghanistan-centric negotiations. So here if you see in Afghanistan, there is increasing China presence that is seen, and China mainly investing in major regional Afghanistan-centric negotiations also here. So if you're talking about India, India mainly supports Afghan-led, Afghan-owned and Afghan-controlled peace process. So why? Because if at all Pakistan, which is mainly dominated in this Afghan peace process, so Afghanistan can be used by Pakistan to act against India also. So because of this, New Delhi mainly fears about this Taliban dominated regime in Kabul that might allow Pakistan to dictate Afghan Indian policy. So because of this, we are mainly saying that we need Afghan led, Afghan owned and Afghan controlled peace process here. Okay. So here Ministry of External Affairs of India mainly said that we need a genuine double peace, that means within Afghanistan and also around Afghanistan, such that here after removal or after withdrawal of US troops from Afghanistan, so stakeholders plays an important role to maintain peace in this Afghanistan. So this is gist of this topic. I hope it is clear. So there is one article regarding this COVID-19 vaccination in page number 7. So we discussed number of times regarding that editorial. So please try to see that once. Okay. So by this we are concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And don't forget to enroll this current affairs package. Thank you so much.